The next speaker is the chair of an organization which is a member of our network, and this is the Catholic Workers' Movement, KAB. I would like to welcome the chair, Ms. Schiedermair. She will be talking to us briefly, and perhaps she can give us the link to basic income.
Sehr geehrte Damen und Herren,
ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, this conference on basic income is taking place in a period of time where a lot is happening. The financial and economic and government debt crisis. Well, we're not only talking about the future of Greece, Portugal, Spain, and Italy. If you believe everything you read in the press, the whole European Union is at stake. Right now, it's the same financial markets which were the starting point of the crisis, and these are the ones that are also involved with speculation and have introduced cost-cutting programs. This is something that is a problem for the social systems and for millions of employees. The costs of the crisis are being paid for those who are not responsible for the crisis. Injustice, inequality, this is on the rise, and this is a danger to the social cohesion of our society. Nonetheless, the panaceas are always the same panaceas that led to our crisis, and they are one thing. These are, people tell us, something without any alternatives. Growth, whatever it costs, the idea of full employment as a normal state, and a job at any price, and also the making the state more lean, and also making this the case in many more spheres of life. So the fact that the state, society, and every individual is subjected to the interests of the market. This is not only too much for the people, but it also means that our natural resources are being exploited. Sustainability is also something that's becoming more and more important in our discussions on basic income. If you were to let the market follow its forces, then of course you have the victims. What is going to be sacrificed here? Human dignity. Europe is at a crossroads. Europe will either continue along the same path, and the gap will be widened even further, and poverty and lack of perspective will become even greater, especially for young people. But unfortunately, people talk about the lost generation when they talk about young people. But on the other hand, we could also take this crisis as an opportunity to dare something, and we also have to consider human dignity. These have to be considered before the interests of the market. It has to be a question of giving people sovereignty over their own lives. Basic income is certainly not a panacea for all of the evils in this world, but it can indeed be used as a specific alternative in order to call into question some of the paradigms and to incite people to think about these questions. How do they really want to live and work? Or, to take it to an extreme, what is a good life for our people. This is not a simple process, and I am a member of an association, so I can say a lot about that. But it is really worth going through such a process, and the path is often a very important part of our target. In the Catholic workers' movement, we talk about basic income and have been doing so and since the 80s and 90s. And this began with mass unemployment and also social security questions. Women in the KAB were talking about trying to make family and profession compatible, and this also played an important role in taking a more holistic approach. A guaranteed basic income in its present form is an instrument to allow us to have a society of activities. In other words, it's not just a social and political instrument in order to avoid poverty, but it will consider everyone, whether these are people who have a job, people who are unemployed, people who are being trained, or if they've taken off time to care for their family. And we can also focus on people's needs, and we can come up with a new balance between employment and life, between individual freedom and social cohesion. And this also means that we have to call for more redistribution, distribution of assets, gainful employment, time. And of course, this will be accompanied by a demand for minimum wage. We are calling for €9.70. I am confident that at this conference we'll be talking about basic income and will make a great deal of progress. We had to increase the minimum wage we're calling for, as I said. This is also important for our old age. So let's really make some progress in achieving a basic income. Let's discuss this in a constructive way and encourage one another.